to hate coffee chocolates, but I had a bag of Rebels at Christmas, and I ate one, and I was like, I must be getting old now, because that didn't faze me in the slightest.
Hello Internet, I'm Richie and welcome to Sounds of Stadia SideQuest, the show where we take a step off the critical path and explore more of what the gaming world has to offer. On this week's show, I'm joined by the Monster Boy himself and the host of Sounds of Stadia podcast, Chris. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
We're still working on that. We're working on that. And of course, the techie teacher, Mr. Tom.
Oh, I'm glad I'll just keep my own.
Yeah.
Nice and simple. Don't change that, but we've got Mr. Monster Boy up there. That's great.
Well, we didn't have, it's like when I was pulling together this show, I realised we don't actually have an intro for Chris.
That's true.
Yeah. I'd also say, everyone, whatever you want to call me, drop it in the chat below that, but that could backfire really, really quick.
I was actually going to ask for that.
Too late, shots fired.
I'm happy with the Monster Boy and host of the podcast, I guess. Yeah, that'll work for now. Until another game beats me to an absolute pulp, I'll stick with that.
The champion of the Vikings, because you've just platinumed
Valhalla. That seems a lot nicer, yeah. But yeah, excited. I'm excited to not host, Richie.
I know.
Hand the reins over for our fledgling SideQuest show.
Yeah, it's episode 1 of Sounds of Stadia SideQuest, our new show. So this week on the show, we're going to be talking about, with the recent news of Stadia Games and Entertainment closing, why, and a lot of people I know, you've seen on Facebook, on Twitter, like, kind of being very negatives, pretty much. I've saw one person asking, as a way of getting a full refund for everything they spent from Google. Simple answer is no. But why are we still interested in the show? Not interested in the show. Interested in the platform.
It's our show, Richie, that's why.
First time hosting, brand new show. I'll get it right next week. But first of all, a bit of housekeeping. And we've hit 1K subscribers on YouTube, which is actually why this show exists.
It is indeed. That we're shuttering all of our other shows now.
Yeah, this is it.
Closing. This is the
Richie show.
And anyway, we do have membership options. Patreon is still going, which we will get the show on Monday, like 5 days early, and the show will be up on Friday. Same schedule as the post show previously was. And we'll be looking to bring the show to the YouTube membership program. At the time of recording, we're still going through the whole YouTube verifying the channel and all that stuff. So we don't have access to the features yet. So bear with us on that. We'll bring you news on that as soon as we can. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and jump into the Discord. And so the topic of the show, I've already said, is why we're still in on Stadia. So Chris, would you like to go first?
Why am I still in on Stadia? Well, Richie, not only have I got a vested interest in a highly popular podcast that goes out every week, and without Stadia, it kind of all falls down like a deck of cards. It just works, guys. Like that, we've all been saying it, and everyone who watches the show and everyone out there who's got Stadia, if you have good internet, it works. You can't really argue about the platform as a basis. The games, yes, we're told they're coming. First party studios, obviously it's a big disappointment that we're not going to get some exclusive first party content made. But as we've alluded to on many shows now, that doesn't stop Stadia putting out exclusive titles. They're just not going to be made in-house now. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of like an analogy to compare it to. But if you turned around and said to me, I don't know, you have a Ford as your car of choice, and all of a sudden Ford turned around and said, we're not going to be making any Fords exclusively in our own garages or our own production warehouses or whatever you call a car manufacturer's plant, I guess, something like that. But the Ford brand is going to outsource, like they probably do already, to China and a bunch of other companies in every individual country under the Ford banner. I don't lose any more faith in buying a Ford car. It just means it's being made and developed and manufactured by a second party. I'm again, anyone out there who's a big fan of technology in general, if you have an iPhone, here's an inside secret. It's not made by Apple, 100%. That shit is outsourced to every other country. In fact, Apple spent something like 13 billion to LG just so they had to stop paying Samsung for one of their microchips inside the phone. So technology in general isn't made by one entity. They all sue each other and have patents left, right, and center anyway. It's a constant monopoly of business that's ever moving. And Stadia not making internal games by themselves, in my opinion, doesn't, in hindsight from Monday's news, doesn't change anything, really. The platform still exists and it will still get great games, just via different means now. So that, Richie, is why I'm still invested in Stadia.
I never actually thought of it from like a manufacturing point of view, because it's rare one company will have 100% control of its entire manufacturing. Things will be actually outsourced. Like, for example, your gearbox from your Ford might be outsourced to a company that makes gearboxes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting. I've never really thought
it's business that you go to the cheapest common denominator. If you can get someone to make an integral part of your product cheaper, it makes business sense that you just outsource it. Say, look at call centers. Yeah. Call centers have been doing it for decades now. Rather than do it locally, you pay it outsourced to someone who's going to do it cheaper. You get the exact same level of service, just in a different country that's going to undercut your local economy. And that's how a global economy works. You go to the cheapest one for the best quality.
Tom?
Sticking with the topic of cheap, as a cheap man, no, I think for me the big reason I stick with Stadia is because I'm at a point in my life now where I don't want to be, shelling out for the technology that's involved in consoles and gaming in general, really. I look at my computer and I'm quite happy with where it's at the moment. Doesn't mean that it's going to be great in the far future, but I don't really use my computer that much for gaming anymore. And likewise, I barely touch consoles whatsoever since Stadia's come out. And I think for me, the real reason I'm sticking with the platform and why I believe in the platform is that saving to the consumer, that sort of like saving that it brings the consumer overall, so that when I do want to play games and when I do feel that itch that I need to scratch, I can just focus on spending the money on the games rather than thinking about like having to put down the £400 for a brand new console. Like, I still don't have, and I don't plan to get into next gen at the moment, or what I should say is current gen now, really. I'm really more about sort of playing the games that I like when they come out. And I'm quite at this point now where I'm happy to wait as well. I don't need to be getting the games day one. Like, look, I still haven't played Valhalla. I haven't played Cyberpunk. I own both of them because they both came out on the platform. And, I didn't have to buy into the console or buy the games. Like, look at what happened with the fiasco with Cyberpunk. Like, if I'd bought it on PS4, I would have been just probably like shitting myself at how bad it is. But, there's sorts of discrepancies really as well that I think of in terms of the sort of debacles that have been going around with games getting upgraded for next gen and stuff like that too. I feel like that's a bit of a fad more than anything, and it's just sort of like a way to try to get the platforms like Microsoft and like Sony to try to guarantee those sales by getting the developers or the publishers to say, oh, if you buy it on previous gen, you'll get the next gen version as well as an upgrade later on. With Stadia, I don't really feel like I need to worry about that.
Yeah,
I can just buy the game and that's it.
With the upgrading stuff, I think that's quite unique to this current generational changeover. Yeah. And I think it's largely down to like the architecture that the consoles are now built on, which are very much now, they're basically mini PCs with like independent software.
PS5 isn't that mini.
Okay, yeah, compared to my tower, that is.
Well, I'm not sure.
We actually got a good point after me. But yeah, the PS5 is chunky.
I tried to move mine the other day, and like, because I've moved it from its flat horizontal back. I've gone to an actual vertical one, and because it's been hidden under my TV unit, I forgot how much of a big boy that thing really is. And my PC tower, it's not far off. Yes, it's a rectangle instead of its curved, sexy edges, but it's a big one. And again, it wasn't cheap. Back to what Tom said.
Yeah, PC hardware.
Everyone is a user case basis. if you've invested, you're already in your foot's already in the door.
It's quite interesting because I used to consider myself more of a PC gamer. Before, like I had a Nintendo 64, which I loved. I had the things like my 3DS, which I loved, but I was very much more in the PC space rather than the console space. And the reason I actually bought my PS4 was my flatmate was moving to a different part of the country, and I basically needed to replace his Xbox and a TV. So I decided to, and my PC was already dying at that point. God knows how I managed to last it until we started this podcast, but it was no longer suitable for modern gaming. So I bought my PS4 because it was the most economically smart decision I could make at the time.
Yeah,
I do not regret that decision in the slightest. That was an awesome decision, but.
Fantastic. The reality for me is like when I think about games that I'm playing, when I've got to be honest with myself when I think about these at the forefront of my life and where my life is at the moment. I can't say in terms of new games on a PC that I've actually bought anything new on to play specifically on PC, like as part of a gaming system, like as part of like through Steam. I couldn't genuinely tell you when I've actually literally gone through the Steam sales, for example, and gone, oh yeah, I'm going to buy that and I'm going to play that. I've probably missed a lot of stuff right there. And for me, Stadia is sort of like, it fills that niche really of sort of identifying the games that perhaps I missed first time around, and I've now been able to have the opportunity to pick it up, but be able to play it remotely wherever I want. I like the opportunity of being able to play it on the TV downstairs, and then if I want to come up and carry on playing it on the computer, I don't need to lug the PlayStation up with me. I can literally just, pause it there, load it up on the computer, and I can carry on. And again, I think it's just that sort of that ease of access, really, that convenience of access too, that really sort of gets it for me, because I don't feel like I now have the time, and I'm starting to sound like a dad gamer.
Oh, man.
I am really. I'm just...
You're part of the dad brigade that seem to gravitate towards Stadia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to be heading there with the child later this year as well. But it's like, my time is very valuable, and I don't want to be sitting there. When I think about the benefits of what Stadia brings in terms of like the no downloads, the no waiting times and so on, to me, all of that time is really valuable at the moment. And it's going to become even more valuable in the near future. So if I can continue gaming on a platform without those concerns, brilliant. And I know Next Gen addresses a lot of that, but it still doesn't give me that portability. And I think that is really, really like something to be shouted about still. It really is. I'm
going to make a weird argument where I think there's one part of the Next Gen, the PS5, especially the PS5. I don't have an Xbox Series X. That I think is actually almost a downgrade compared to the PS4, and that is storage capacity. While the storage quality is much better with it switching from hard disk to SSD, a 500 terabyte SSD is, I actually think, is inadequate.
500 terabyte?
500 gig. 500 gig. 500 terabyte would be very, very much adequate. 500 gig would be, I think it's inadequate if you want to have a handful of games in the system. What's the file size of like Call of Duty Warzone? It's like something ridiculous, like about 200-300 gig. Yeah, so there's half of it gone.
You're looking at having maximum of perhaps 5 games at any time on your system, 5 to 6 at a push.
Yeah.
Hard installed. And I feel like while we might be making arguments based on the release of Stadia, I think it's still tried and true at this point. I think when the reality sets in down the line, when new releases come out to the platforms, I think it's going to start to become very, very obvious that there are flaws, like you say.
Well, with this show, I almost wanted to take us back to like our first few episodes of the Sounds of Stadia podcast before we got hands on the platform. And we're talking a lot about what it was making us excited for the platform. And I think this launch of SideQuest and with the recent news of Stadia Games and Entertainment, it kind of fit quite nicely, I felt, to actually almost revisit that element of like what were we excited for and are we still excited for them things?
Yeah. It's not really changed. Like Tom's point there of the games, like I've stopped thinking about it now, but that convenience factor really can't be denied. Like how many games have we got now? Tom, you must have over 100 titles. Yeah. And if you want to jump back in and play any of those, you can do it within 5-10 seconds, albeit it might take you a while to scroll through the interface to get to the original games you first got.
There's room for improvement. There's room for improvement.
Poor Samurai Showdown and Farming Simulator sitting way back in the original free games. But if you wanted to play any of those titles on your traditional consoles, you'd have to dig out the disc, you'd have to find the download it, then wait for it to install just to get back into it. Whereas, yeah, you're right, Tom. Your entire library is there at the click of a button to play it anywhere. Yeah. Convenience is key.
Instant access of it. How many of us in the Stadia community, not just us freakers, have bought a game the second it's come out and then immediately been playing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we showed it off in like the from purchase to play series that we did. It's literally you could take 2 minutes from buying a game to be actually playing it. Yeah, and that level of instant access. It needs to be recognized, really. Like it still baffles me that you actually don't, like, seriously, when I think about it, you don't have that convenience anywhere else. Like I'm not even talking in terms of xCloud, in terms of GeForce Now, because even with those platforms, with GeForce Now, you've still got to access your Steam library to purchase a game first before you can then change to the GeForce Now app. With xCloud, you only get the games that you've got on your Game Pass Ultimate. So then, you don't then have the opportunity to be able to go further than that.
Yeah, I think,
or at least
the closest we have is Amazon Luna, but that tends to seem to be going more of a channel system. You subscribe to this channel, you subscribe to that channel, rather than just going, I want this game, drop my money
in app, and I can just turn my phone and I'm playing.
Well, yeah, that's a great point. I think that's been almost like a critique of Stadia in a way. Like, people don't understand the business model and why would I want to pay a subscription, which you don't have to, and buy the game. But that raises a really good point back to what Richie's mentioning of what first got us into Stadia, and then looking back at it now, what still keeps us focused and driven to stick with this platform. And yeah, if I want to play Cyberpunk on my phone within a matter of seconds, I can do that now. And not only does it run better than PS4 and Xbox One, I get it instantly without a subscription model if I choose to. Whereas Luna doesn't give us that, as far as we're aware. You can't buy the games outright. You need the base or the subscription for whatever that is going to look like. If we're on xCloud, you're right, Tom. If Cyberpunk isn't included as part of Game Pass, then Microsoft don't give you an outlet to play those games on the move. So I can play it on the console, of course, but I don't think I can play it to my phone without some kind of casting remote play kind of deal. PlayStation, it's not even out on PS4, Cyberpunk, at this moment in time. So, yeah, the convenience factor of all that bundled together, the fact that I can just buy a game I want to play without committing to a model instantly, is very overlooked, I think. And it's not a critique. It's if anything, it's a great selling point.
With being in the ecosystem from literally like day one, I sometimes think we forget about these little quality of life things. Like the fact that before, when I was playing Football Manager quite a bit, I was playing on an evening on my laptop, or coming up here and playing on my desktop, or occasionally at work on my lunch break playing on my phone with touchscreen controls. And it's like, I couldn't do that with any other platform right now. I literally just couldn't do it. I'd have to have separate installs on both my laptop and my PC, making sure that the saves are synced between them, which if they aren't syncing properly, I might have me actually physically moving the file from one place to the other. And then the phone would be completely out of the question.
We're just spoiled.
Yeah.
Absolutely spoiled.
Going back to the kind of story I said about me going from PC to like PS4, one of the things that always got me interested in Stadia, and I don't think it's been fully realised yet, but it is on the way, is the fact that Stadia has a foot in both worlds, whether it's you're picking up a controller and playing on your TV, or mouse and keyboard at your desk. So we know we've got things like Humankind coming, the sort of game where I just don't think works that well on console. Stadia can bring that to a bigger audience. I think I'd love to see things like Civ come over. You've already talked before, Chris, about Age of Empires.
Yeah, that one not so much with Microsoft, but I definitely think ones like Jurassic World, Evolution, and Planet Coaster, and those type of building games that just they run so much better with a mouse and keyboard. I'd love to see them ported across 100% and really utilize that hybrid nature of keyboard and mouse and controller. Exciting. Future's exciting for it, honestly.
It really is. It really is when you think about it. Like, I'm glad we've had this opportunity to really reminisce about it, because there's, like you say, I think unless it gets talked about, there's a lot of these points that do get almost pushed to the wayside a little bit.
You get used to them and you feel a bit spoilt when you it's when you switch back to like PlayStation and I have to download the game. It's like, oh yeah,
you don't know what you did until it's gone. yeah, fair enough.
True. I think all of the things that we've covered, like, again, can we get nostalgic about Stadia just yet? Is it old enough? I think it's a little bit different for us because obviously we host a podcast and we're so ingrained in the news and the stories. But I honestly, like, again, it's not hit its stride yet. We've said like the cloud industry is getting bigger year on year. Just look at the VR industry; it didn't exist until like half a decade ago, and now it keeps raking the millions upon millions. And as the games industry is embraced more, as we push forward into like the future, and every big player in the market has said cloud gaming isn't going anywhere. It's the next big thing. We've looked at Amazon, we looked at Google, all investing millions upon millions in the infrastructure. And we know the gaming industry is only getting bigger and bigger. We've said before, it's bigger than the music, the television, the movies industries combined in terms of pure profitability. It's not going anywhere. And I think lockdown is escalated that tenfold because people are in the houses now looking to kill time on different platforms. And yeah, I just think if anyone thinks Stadia or cloud gaming is a non-starter or it's dead in the water because they closed their internal studios, back to the news, to the big topic of the week, I guess, then they're not thinking of how business and technology evolves and works. Stadia may look very different than what the initial plan was, but the tech and the platform ain't going anywhere. And I intend to stick with it because at the end of the podcast this week, I made a point of saying that it doesn't go anywhere. You joke about the big consoles and stuff and your PC towers, Richie. But yeah, if you want out of Stadia right now, like right now, look, I'm out of Stadia, Richie.
Hey, bye.
Oh wait, look, I'm back in because guess what? There's nothing happening. I don't have a box in my home to throw away. Yeah. It's just it's not even a subscription model, right?
No.
If I go away now and come back in 5 years' time, I can still play Cyberpunk because it's there. I can play it within seconds.
Well, that's gone back to like the financial point we made before, where it's the barrier entry to Stadia is a decent internet connection, and you don't even need like gigabit or anything. You just need stable, probably about 30, 40...
56k modem.
Yeah. That's a joke from the podcast. But you just need about maybe 30, 40 megabits per second and a stable connection. And a laptop, a Chromebook.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can pick up the Premier Edition and stick a Chromecast on your TV. Or literally, or your phone. You can play Cyberpunk or Assassin's Creed Valhalla or whatever you want that's on the platform on whatever you've got lying around.
Yeah, and we don't honestly. Again, we'll have to give it many, many years before. But in theory, we should all, if in 2030 we decide, like, I'd like to go back and play that old game, Cyberpunk, we could open up Stadia, find it in our library, hit play. No matter what tech we've got at the time,
you might have to scroll for an hour first.
You may have to scroll for an hour first. But the truth is, if we wanted to play a PS3 game from 10 years ago, I'd have to dig out my console, hope it switches on, find the disc, or hope the digital storefront is still active, and somehow play it. Or maybe fingers crossed there's an anniversary remaster that's on the horizon. But with Stadia, surely you click into Cyberpunk and you've got the best updated, most patched version of the game that possibly exists that you can play on whatever tech you own in 10 years' time. Like that's the future planning of it. It's built to last without dropping £500 every few years on a new box. And like Tom said, financial decisions, that's huge. As people get older and their priorities become more relevant to important things, arguably, that's the difference between are you staying a gamer or not? Because I know a lot of people drop off because adult responsibilities get in the way.
I don't have enough time and it costs too much to get in.
Yeah, whereas if you can play half an hour of FIFA on the toilet every day, mate...
Yeah.
Can't beat it.
That's it. If you just like I actually think about my dad at this moment in time. He's not a big gamer by any stretch of his imagination, but he does occasionally like to drop into something like he actually likes Rainbow Six Siege, and he'd love to have like Flight Simulator. But he's not buying he doesn't want to drop 500 quid on a console. He has a PS4 entirely because it came with his internet package. Like,
not bad.
Well, yeah, it would work well for me. It means I got a PS4 around his house. But he doesn't want to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds on hardware to play the games. So I haven't got him into Stadia yet. But if something like Flight Simulator came onto Stadia, I think I could be an easy sell. Especially if I could get him like a flight stick or something.
But again, it's case by case basis, isn't it? And you're totally right. It's as the gaming, like, remember, we're all evolving as well as the gaming industry. Yeah. Like, this has never been a thing anymore. I was listening to a podcast the other day that was saying the reality is, I think, it was when Bethesda's CEO passed away, I think, unfortunately. And the reality is this industry is still so young. We're only now hitting a point where stalwarts of the industry, familiar faces that have like designed amazing things that have set the foundations for what this industry now is. It's now it's almost coming of age where the people who laid the foundations are getting old and unfortunately passing away. But we are growing alongside it, and I intend to still be a gamer when I'm in my 40s and 50s and 60s. But you're totally right, Richie. It's a case-by-case basis where what fits everyone's purpose. And yeah, whether it's saving money or particular titles or convenience, Stadia kind of ticks all those boxes. And as long as they invest in it, it's future-proofed, right?
Yeah. I mean, as internet connections get better, surely the service gets better.
Well, I think we should, like you say, taking a step away from gaming, I think generally cloud computing is going to be the way forward. I think even as it gets more and more expensive to produce like things like GPUs and CPUs to the quality that are required that the software developers want, you're probably going to see a lot more things like Shadow PC and a lot more virtualization where you maybe use something like a Chromecast into your TV and with a mouse and keyboard to do basic tasks rather than having a physical device.
I mean, just look at all the fighting amongst all tech manufacturers right now for the chips. Like they literally, whether it's mobile production, computers because of lockdown, games consoles, PS5 and Xbox launch, cars, Tesla, all the new modern cars use so many more microchips now than they ever have done. The demand to get these circuit boards and stuff it's unprecedented, and there's a delay. There's a global delay on it, and you're right. The resources aren't, as Thanos would say, infinite. So eventually, we'll have to think of something. What's the next logical step forward? And if Stadia is all elsewhere in a Google server room, and we don't have to produce, how many PlayStation 4s were sold? So like 115 million or something. A lot. That's a lot of microchips every generation being built, and it's like I said, it's not sustainable. Whereas the cloud is.
It's also a lot of e-waste.
Elsewhere.
Eventually, a lot of them will end up in landfills.
Yep.
And then we'll start GPU mining in a different sense.
Stadia, Bitcoin, Stadia coin.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of things to consider, and I think, it's not going anywhere. I'm happy with it. I'm sticking with it.
I'm happy with it. Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't be here otherwise, would I?
We've forced you here. Any other points you just want to bring up?
Not that I can think. I mean, again, it just sounds like we spent 20 odd minutes singing Stadia's praises, but I guess that's what we do every week. Because
that was kind of the concept of this episode, to be honest.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, I've
got no major issues. It's just the only kind of drop from this week's news story is that in another 2 years' time, we're not going to have an exclusive first-party title. But in the meantime, we could have 10 new titles that would have never came to the platform because the money's been spent better elsewhere. So there's always a silver lining, everyone. That's the biggest thing. And if you enjoy gaming, then again, Richie, your quote, game wherever makes you the most happy.
Yeah.
That should be a tagline for Sounds of Stadia.
just without being on the toilet part.
I mean, you can if that's where you're happiest gaming. Might be the only place you have a chance to get some peace away from the kids.
Well, exactly.
Little tip for you there, Tom.
Cheers, mate. I'm going to need that one.
Anyway, that's all we have for you this week. Don't forget you can get this episode up 5 days early if you're a member of Patreon, and we'll be also looking to bring this same service to YouTube membership when we can. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Sounds of Stadia, and join our Discord. The link will be in the description below. Don't forget to also watch the Sounds of Stadia podcast and check out our new shows such as Sounds of Stadia Hotspot. I got that one right, didn't I?
Spat. You did.
Yes, yeah, and our first night community streams. I've been Richie.
I've been Tom.
I've been Chris.
Let's go backwards.
Yeah, we've been Sounds of Stadia. Thank you very much for watching. Quest completed.